Good morning, everyone. This is a Maxime Bernier Twitter roundup, and I've got some updates about the Greta Thunberg controversy. Mr. Bernier has tweeted about that, but it didn't garner its own video, so not yet anyway. So first of all, Gad Saad is tweeting out, "The people asked for it and we oblige. This Thursday I will be hosting a chat with one of the candidates for Prime Minister of Canada, Mr. Maxime Bernier. I look forward to an all-encompassing conversation on countless topics that will likely shape the future of Canada." That's wonderful. And I love how humble Gad is when he talks about the things that he's doing. Yes, indeed. I'm excited to watch this. Thursday's today, so if you haven't subscribed to Gad's podcast or YouTube channels, do that. And if you have, well, I'm sure the bell will notify you when the interview goes live. So here is Greta Thunberg, and this is the end of the Greta Thunberg controversy as of yesterday, I guess, as of September 3rd. So this is 2 days ago. Today's September 5th. And Maxime Bernier says, "Climate alarmism equals panic and irrational fear. Let's have a rational discussion." And he says both in English and French. And this is Greta Thunberg, spreading panic. And I want to point out here, if you're on an airplane, they don't tell you panic and then act. They don't say, listen, get really, really freaked out, really work yourself up, and then pass out because the oxygen mask never got on your face. They don't do that. That's not what they say. Here we go.
Adults keep saying we owe it to the young people to give them hope. But I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day. I want you to panic. I want you to panic. I want you to panic.
Okay. I'm not panicking yet, Greta, but the point is, if you're on an airplane, the first thing they say is remain calm and then put your mask on. And panic doesn't usually lead to good decision making, generally, right? Let's not panic, everyone. Let's rationally look at all the evidence in front of us, and then let's make the best decision we can going forward. And I think that probably the provinces managing their environmental strategy with regards to carbon would be better than having an ineffective carbon tax implemented across the whole country. Because ineffective meaning it doesn't actually reduce carbon. Have a look at British Columbia. Okay, here's Mr. Bernier's next tweet. He said, "Everyone knows that's how you do politics in Canada, by pandering to voting blocs, special interests, and targeted clienteles. All parties do it, except the People's Party of Canada. We are the principled alternative." And he's referring to this National Post article that was posted on September 3rd, not yesterday. "Liberal backbencher accuses his own government of pandering to Sikh separatists." I was going to go through this, but it gets really, really, really into this article specifically gets into the weeds of Sikh separatism and relations with India. And it took me way off course on the Maxime Bernier Twitter roundup. So I'm not going to go through that one right now. If there's interest in it, please let me know in the comments. Okay, Maxime Bernier is tweeting, "Trudeau, Scheer, Charest, and now Joe Clark. Libcon globalist establishment all unite in pathetic attempt to get United Nations Security Council seat by pandering to third world despots." This is an article clipping. Former PM Clark joins ex-Premier Charest as envoy for UN Security Council bid. And interesting, right? Why does everybody want the UN Security Council seat? Why are we willing to give all this money to the United Nations right now? Because it doesn't seem like they're helping Canada. It doesn't seem like they're on our side. Mr. Bernier continues, "Hey, Debates Can, did you see this poll released last weekend? More than half of Canadians want to hear what I have to say." And this is a participation in the Leaders Debates poll with 52%. And there you go, it's a bit bigger, and it's got all across Canada. So the majority of Canadians want to at least hear what Mr. Bernier has to say. That's interesting, I find. And I think that there is precedent in our history, recent history, from Elizabeth May in 2008. She didn't hold a seat until 2011. She was not an elected person. And the Greens were an unelected federal party when she was allowed into the debates. And I understand the debate commission was created after the People's Party was created to prevent that situation from happening. But at the same time, I think it's worth noting that Canadians want to hear from the potential leaders of their country. That's it. Reminder from Mr. Bernier, he says, Scheer says a conservative government will continue to campaign for a UN Security Council seat. Why? Why do we need it? What is the benefit to Canada? Must watch. No, you don't have to panic. Arthur Mark Morano presents his hard-hitting arguments and facts that dispel the artificial fear propagated by climate emergency alarmists. And I haven't actually watched this video. I didn't have time this morning to watch it. But I watched Tony Heller, Robert S. Goddard, and his videos are interesting. He pulls articles from the New York Times and other historical, like, remember when we used to go through newspapers with microfiche? I used to go to the library and get old newspapers on microfiche for research. That's how old I am. And before the internet existed, this is like 1989 or 1990, 91, 92. Anyway, but that exists online, newspapers.com. And he goes back, Robert S. Goddard or Tony Heller, goes back to the 1930s and even before the 1890s and before that. Well, I'm not sure before that, but I've seen very early newspaper clippings talking about climate, talking about all sorts of stuff. And he's a well-regarded scientist. You can look him up. If you've watched my show, you've heard of him before. So I'm not going to get into this particular tweet right now, but please do go watch it. I'm interested. I haven't watched it. I will soon. Here is Mr. Bernier saying, Canada has a unique identity in the world. We are not a post-national country. Let's focus on what unites us as Canadians and not what divides us. And that, I think, is a good message. There's a video, and we're not going to watch it because we're on track to be done just right on time. Here is the 5-part tweet update on Greta, and this is September 4th at 4:21, so yesterday afternoon. He says, quote, 1 of 5. I received a lot of criticism for a tweet where I was mentioning the mental health problems that Greta Thunberg herself and her mother publicly discuss. My goal was absolutely not to denigrate her or whoever deals with these conditions. 2. On the contrary, she is a brave young woman who has been able to overcome her problems and deserves our admiration for that. I wanted to show that the choice of influential groups and the media to make her a spokesperson for climate alarmism is not innocent. These groups use this young woman as a pawn and as a shield to prevent any criticism of the message. That's the real scandal. I should have expressed this argument without referring directly to her personal situation. Greta calls to panic and to radically transform society without further debate because we have no time to avoid a catastrophe. It is particularly dangerous, especially for young people here and everywhere that she influences. 5. I will continue to criticize and oppose this alarmist vision and the disastrous policies that come with it, whether they come from Greta, Trudeau, McKenna, May, or whoever, and to offer a realistic vision based on confidence in the future. Yes, and I appreciate that clarification. And I've always said that stating that somebody who claims to have obsessive compulsive disorder, depression, Asperger's, which is on the autism spectrum, and I've referred to her as autistic and said she has autism, which is what is reported, but I've been corrected by my wife. She said, no, it's Asperger's. She's diagnosed with Asperger's. So I'll be very clear, right? She has Asperger's. These all together create, and being 16 years old as well, create a situation where she is not mentally stable. And that is factual. That is not something that is meant to attack this girl. So the whole thing to me, I read it as when you work in mental health and you read these papers, you're not looking at this as attacking somebody. And so I don't think that my interpretation is a stretch, but everybody wants to make Mr. Bernier into somebody who's attacking Greta. And I never saw that at all. I never saw that as the case at all. Anyway, regardless, this is the last tweet for this morning, and I watched this video, and bravo, Mr. Mansur. Well said. And he's speaking specifically to people who are in their 30s and younger. And he speaks about the importance of free speech and the importance of free speech to democracy and the importance of you being people who are 30 and under fighting for that. And he makes the case that the People's Party is currently the only party fighting for that. We have Hong Kong protesting to make sure their government is not able to extradite them for crimes for crimes illegal in China, but not Hong Kong, because they have a system that's separate. And those protesters are fighting a similar battle that's coming to Canada. Our conservative voices have been silenced, and whether you agree or disagree, we should have equal time to make our case. And vilifying people as evil for being conservative is is just as bad as silencing them. And it leads to that. It leads to people being silenced. And I mean, I've experienced it online. I've had my Twitter shut down. I've had videos demonetized. All of those things are happening in real time. If I was talking about liberal politics, I can guarantee you none of my videos would be demonetized. And that is a form of censorship. And this is active. It's actively shaping the conversation. This is a clear and present danger to our democracy. And the time to act is the October 21st election. Again, whether you disagree or agree, vote, have a say, exercise your democratic right, because democracy does die if it's not continually fought for. So you need to fight for it by exercising your rights. Get involved. So thank you, Mr. Mansur, and thank you, Mr. Bernier, and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Check out the People's Party of Canada.ca, and I already said have a wonderful day. I'll say it again. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.